All right, let's talk about a tool that really shook up the world of software development, Travis CI. Today, we're going to break down how it creates this automated superhighway for your code, getting it from your keyboard all the way to the cloud, safely, and pretty much on autopilot.
So, picture this. You just post your latest commit to GitHub. And for a split second, there's that little knot in your stomach, right? Did I break something? Is this going to play nice with everyone else's work? In the world we live in now, with software moving so fast, that old manual process of checking everything by hand, it just doesn't work. It's slow, it's easy to make a mistake, and honestly, it's just stressful.
And that exact problem, that stressful, manual, error-prone process, is precisely what Travis CI was built to destroy. Think of it like an automated guardian, a robot that watches over your code base. It's constantly looking for changes, and the very instant you push new code, bam, it springs into action to make sure everything is still stable and healthy.
Now to really get Travis CI, you've got to understand the big idea it's built on: continuous integration, or CI for short. The whole concept is beautifully simple. Automate everything. Every single time a developer commits code, a process just kicks off. It builds the project and runs all the tests automatically. The goal? To find bugs early, find them often, and keep the main codebase in a state where it's always ready to go.
And Travis CI was a true pioneer here. It was founded way back in 2011 as the first hosted CI platform made just for GitHub. And it just exploded in popularity, mainly because it offered its service for free to open source projects. It became an absolute staple of that community. And over the years, it's grown into this super powerful cross-platform tool that everyone from solo devs to giant companies relies on. So, with all the options out there today, why do so many people still stick with Travis CI? Well, it really just boils down to making the developer's life easier. The biggest draw is its simplicity. You can get a whole pipeline running with just one file. It's all in the cloud, so you don't have to manage any servers. It supports like 30 different languages right out of the box, and it connects to GitHub so seamlessly, it feels like it's part of it. It's all that power without the headache.
Okay, let's talk about that single file I mentioned, because this is really the heart and soul of Travis CI's simplicity. Your entire automation recipe, every single instruction, lives in this one place. It's the blueprint for your entire code factory.
And this is it, the .travis.yml file. It's just a simple text file written in a format called YAML, which, fun fact, stands for YAML Ain't Markup Language. All you really need to know is that it's designed to be super easy for humans to read and write. You just stick this one file in the main folder of your project, and that's it. Travis CI knows exactly what to do. And look how clean this is. For a Python project, it's as simple as telling Travis, hey, first, I need a Python environment. Then, install all the stuff in my requirements file. And finally, run my tests using PyTest. That's it. It's this clean, step-by-step recipe that anyone can understand just by looking at it.
So let's just quickly break down those core pieces. First, language. That just sets up the main environment. Python, Node.js, Ruby, whatever you need. Next up, the install step. This is where you run any commands to get your project's dependencies set up. And finally, the script step. This is where the magic happens. It runs the commands to actually build your code and run all your tests.
Okay, so now that we've got the basics down, let's see how we can build on that. Because we can go way beyond just a single test run and build out a really sophisticated multi-stage pipeline. Think of it like an assembly line for your code. Each stage does a specific job before passing it on to the next. One of the absolute coolest features is the build matrix. You see, a simple setup might just run your tests in one environment, but with a build matrix, you can tell Travis, hey, I need you to test this against node version 16, 18, and 20. And it doesn't do it one by one. It spins them all up at the same time and runs your tests in parallel. This is a massive time saver and makes sure your code works everywhere it's supposed to. You can also structure your whole pipeline into logical stages. A really common pattern is to have a build stage, then a test stage, and finally a deploy stage. And here's the crucial part. If any job in the test stage fails, the entire pipeline just stops. The deploy stage is never even started. This is your safety net. It physically prevents a broken build from ever reaching your users. And don't think for a second that Travis CI is just for web apps on Linux. Not at all. It gives you true cross-platform power. You can set up your builds to run on macOS, which is a must-have if you're building iOS apps, or even on Windows for things like .NET projects. This flexibility makes it a killer tool for pretty much any kind of software you can imagine. Of course, testing your code is only half the story. After your code is built and all the tests pass, the whole point is to get it out into the world, right? And this is where we get into continuous deployment. And just like everything else, deployments are configured right there in your .travis.yaml file. It's super straightforward. You tell Travis where to deploy, like to a cloud provider like Heroku. You give it your secure credentials, like an API key. And then you set the final condition, like only deploy this thing when new code gets merged into the main branch. It creates this safe, automated pathway straight to production.
And Heroku is just one of tons of options. Travis CI has pre-built deployment setups for all the big players like AWS and Google Cloud, container platforms like Docker Hub, and you can even have it create new releases for you right on GitHub.
Now you might be thinking, hold on, are you telling me to paste my secret API keys into a text file? And the answer is absolutely not. You should never do that. Travis CI has a really neat solution. They give you a command line tool that lets you encrypt your secrets. It adds this garbled, secure version of your key to the file that only Travis CI can unscramble during the build. Your secret stays safe.
Okay, let's zoom back out. We've seen the nuts and bolts of how Travis CI works, but where does it really fit in today's crowded world of automation tools? And how can you really get the most out of it? Let's look at the bigger picture and some best practices.
This comparison really tells the story. While other tools like CircleCI and GitHub Actions are incredibly powerful, Travis CI's biggest strengths have always been its 5-star simplicity and its deep roots in the open source community. For developers who just want to get up and running fast without a huge learning curve, it is still a top-tier choice. You might trade some of the more complex advanced features for pure speed and ease of use.
And to really make your pipelines fly, it pays to follow a few simple rules. Keep that .travis.yml file clean and easy to read. Use caching. This is huge. It prevents you from re-downloading dependencies on every single run and can speed things up dramatically. Always encrypt your secrets. Use those build stages to find failures faster. And finally, lock down your dependency versions so that every build is consistent and repeatable. This quote just nails the whole spirit of Travis CI. It wasn't the only tool, but it was the one that made CI accessible to everybody. It basically democratized automation for a whole generation of developers, proving that you don't need a huge team of specialists to build a professional, reliable delivery pipeline. And that really leaves us with one final thought. In modern software development, just writing the code is only the first step. The real challenge is delivering it quickly, safely, and reliably. So the question isn't just if your code is ready for your users, it's is your pipeline ready?